Hello everyone, welcome back to Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and I've been hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Chris Kende Uwandu. Bikio, let's round off this conversation with your perspective on the importance of building modern prisons and what they should look like.
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, we need new prisons, new correctional centers. I hope I'll get used to calling it correctional centers.
Same with me.
Yes. We need new ones located in the right places and fitted with all of the gadgets that they need to have. They should be real correctional centers, because even schools, they can build small schools inside so that those in prison can actually get some education. And then one big problem we have is that even when people are sentenced to death, there are very few correctional centers in Nigeria with the facility to hang a convict. So when we build new and modern prisons, they should make sure that that facility is there, so that they don't need to transfer people to somewhere else to take their lives, only for governors of that state where the convict's life is going to be taken to refuse to sign. And if our capacity now is 50,000, you know, our prison, our correctional facility, the capacity is 3,000, but I mean 50,000, but we have 81,746 in our prisons, and out of this 81,746, 54,013 are waiting trial. So a number of people,
almost 70%.
yes, they are not, an overwhelming majority are not convicts, and a lot of them could still walk away free.
Yeah,
because who knows, when you put somebody on trial, maybe you don't even have evidence against him, but he could stay there for more than 20 years.
yes.
Without actually committing that offense.
Beyond the time that if he has been convicted.
Yes. So in such a case, their lives are ruined. When they come out of prison, having been set free, there is no way they can recover. You've kept them in prison. I saw the case of a man that a woman accused of rape. And that same woman later confessed that, oh, I lied against him.
Can you imagine?
And he had spent more than 15 years in jail already.
That's it.
So, such things, that's why when they say, oh, this person, bring your evidence. If you don't bring your evidence, we will never agree that the man did it. We are not going to say, for example, that, oh, because this guy is known to be a flirt, therefore, anybody who accuses him must have said the truth. No, bring your evidence. Stop wasting our time. It's your evidence that we are waiting for.
All right, gentlemen, perhaps we need to move on to our next conversation. I have chosen peace in the interest of Rivers State. With those words, Governor Siminalayi Fubara has broke his silence and reaffirmed his commitment to reconciliation amid ongoing tensions with former Governor Wike. Speaking during a public engagement, Governor Fubara emphasized that political disagreements must not derail governance or jeopardize the welfare of Rivers residents. Observers view his remarks as a crucial step towards resolving political friction that has threatened to stall development efforts in the state. Let's share the story with you.
After over a year of public discord, the two key figures in Rivers State's political crisis have taken steps to mend fences, and things seem to be slowly returning to normal. Governor Fubara's presence at the burial ceremony of Nyesom Wike's uncle is a strong indication that both leaders have chosen to put their differences aside and move forward. The governor attended another event to update his supporters and address their concerns about the future. Again, he emphasized that sustaining peace in Rivers State is top priority, and there is no price too big to achieve this.
I did say that there is no price that is too big to pay for peace. I meant it, and I am still ready to follow it to the end. Nobody can take away the goal my other plate. That's the truth. And if today there is need for us to settle, please, anyone who genuinely believes in me should understand that it is the right thing to do.
Governor Fubara lamented that months of crisis has hindered the progress of his administration, especially in the area of infrastructure development.
Look at the projects that we initiated. Big roads have been abandoned. Look at other things that we initiated. Without this crisis, by now I know where I want to be. We know the progress we have recorded. We know areas that would have been developed in these things better than what it is today. So there is need for this peace.
Governor Fubara assured his supporters that the recent reconciliation effort was backed by his political family, and he promised to continue protecting the interests of those who stood by him during the crisis. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
All right, gentlemen, there you have it. But, I mean, they say when it comes to politics, nothing is sacrosanct. Gentlemen, do we proceed with caution? BKO.
Well, I am confident that Fubara has picked up exemplary lessons from this whole affair. If he cannot learn from this, then he will never learn again in his life. Nigerians will push you to the edge of a cliff. They will tell you to take a plunge. When you take a plunge, you are on your own. During this period, the National Assembly, they had to vote whether to agree with the president on the matter of a state of emergency. People are making so much noise. Oh, voice vote is illegal. They shouldn't have used voice vote to decide such a crucial matter. PDP governors are going to court. They mentioned the matter of voice vote. That it shouldn't have been voice vote. If I'm truly for you, we die there. Oh.
Yes.
None of them, none of the people who go around extorting money from Fubara in the National Assembly, none of them said nay. I can't forget. Because we dismiss issues easily in our country. That nobody who supported this man in the National Assembly, a lot of them were granting interviews, speaking way above their pay grade. None of them said nay. It's significant. Yes, we would have wanted them to put the thing to vote without a resort to a voice vote. But the fact that it was voice vote that they use, does not stop a person who made up his mind to stand on his conviction to say, nay.
I'm sure the government must have felt betrayed.
Yes, I'm sure. If he cannot feel betrayed, then nothing else will make him feel betrayed. And before Fubara agreed to surrender, because this is a surrender, let's not deceive ourselves. Wow. Before Fubara decided to surrender, he had seen that he had reached the end of the road. The lawmakers will have impeached him easily. They will have impeached him. Because if you read the judgment of the Supreme Court, the judgment of the Supreme Court literally affirmed that he had abused his office and that he had committed impeachable offenses. Go and read the judgment. Because the judgment also affirmed that there was no judgment, there was no government in that state. As far as the Supreme Court was concerned, if any of the three arms of government is not allowed to function, then there is no democracy, there is no governance, there is no government in place. So he knew from the moment he couldn't control the House of Assembly and he didn't have the political skills to take some of those people away from Wike, I knew that his days were numbered. Wike said something that he was not happy that the president came up with state of emergency. Yes. Because the next step will have been to impeach him. Some people will say, no, it's not going to happen. But before our eyes, it will happen and nothing will happen. He's not the first to be impeached as a governor. And he won't be the last. So he knew that he had come to the end of the road. He then decided, okay, let me make peace. And he said it. I like what he said. He said, we have fought. I think in my own assessment and in the assessment of anyone here who is genuine in this struggle, at this point, if you want to be truthful to yourself, the only solution is peace. I did say that there is no price that is too big for peace. And he went on to say, Wike deserves to be hot.
Well, Wike, he had said this before. No price is too big to sacrifice for peace. Yes. That was the way he put it. He had said it before.
Let me tell you.
I asked. Let's see.
No problem. You think a sitting president, the Nigerian president is a powerful one. He does not exercise his power by ordering people who abuse him on Facebook to be beaten up. You can abuse the president, open your mouth and talk anyhow about the president. The real powers of the president, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. The president will broker peace 2 times. You think someone will still go against that? If someone goes against that, you will see the full weight of his powers. He knows what he's talking about. He wants peace now. Let him go and continue. And I'm happy that the House of Reps Speaker said, look, this emergency rule can be terminated even before the expiration of 6 months. They inserted that into their resolution. We expect now that since they've agreed to make peace, that the president will go ahead and let Fubara go back to work. Fubara, as far as I'm concerned, this is a second. Remember, he once said, look, before you fight for me, before you say certain things, find out whether I'll be happy.
I remember.
Because some of the people going around, somebody even said, we feel thrown under the bus. What are you talking about? Are you the governor? Were you the one they voted for?
So many comments on
Were you the one they voted for? The person that they voted for, he said, I'm no longer interested in the fight. Okay, go and continue the fight on your own now. Let's see how far you can go.
All right.
How did he throw you under the bus? It was his decision to make. And he took the decision to make peace. Right. There's nothing wrong about that.
All right. Gentlemen, let's go to break. And when we come back, we'll continue and expatiate on this particular conversation. Stay with us, everyone. Welcome back to Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Fubara speaks on reconciliation with Wike, says he's opted for peace in the interest of the state. And I still have BK and CKN here on the program. CKN, let me come to you. With how intense that battle was, I'm sure I'm not out of line when I say it was a battle. So with how intense that battle was, would you say this is victory for democracy? I mean, we also heard when the governor said this crisis had delayed infrastructure projects. Would you say this is victory?
It can't be victory for democracy for me.
It can't be victory for democracy?
Yes. Okay. Because if we look at the issue of declaration of state of emergency, that is not part of democracy. So I believe that the gladiators would have settled this matter before it got to the point at which the president decided to stay.
Are we sure?
Yes, they say, let me tell you, politics is a fundamental issue. There is nowhere in the world where there is no politics, even in TVC.
Wike, let me remind you.
You are talking
to Minister Wike. CKN,
yes.
I do apologize. Yes. We heard Minister Wike on several occasions threatening and saying he would never have a reason to have a sit-down with Governor Fubara.
But they've had a sit-down now.
Yeah, because it was important. I mean,
but that is what I'm saying. There is no issue that cannot be resolved.
There's no, you were just saying that because he thought that the president would no longer...
Yes, exactly. There is no issue that cannot be resolved. But coming to the matter, I would say that the governor...
He didn't know that emergency rule would come.
Of course.
The president surprised both men. And what the president did was to also show that, look, on this matter, I'm the alpha male. I'm the one who can take the big decision. So they never, he didn't see it coming, just like I didn't see it coming. So the president's intervention has affirmed that, okay, in big matters like this, is the one who can wield the big stick, who can take the big decision. So Wike never thought that emergency rule will happen.
Now, back to the issue. What Fubara has done, I would just say, is more like stoop to conquer. For me, we had no choice on the matter. If what we've been hearing, some of the decisions that have been taken, which has been reported, none of them have come out to tell us what the decision was. What we've been reading, so we cannot confirm. But if you read today's Vanguard, it is well explicit. Speculation in other papers. If what we have heard was the decision that then the governor, as far as I'm concerned, in the next 2 years will remain a lame duck. That's my personal opinion. Because most of his power has been watered down. That is a fact.
Constitutional powers?
The power, it has constitutional powers, okay, but ability to be able to use those powers in certain quarters is watered down. But if the whole essence, because the most important thing we are not talking in this issue is the people of Rivers State. We are just talking about Wike, Fubara. But in all this, if the essence of the reconciliation is for the betterment of the life of the people of Rivers, I'm all for it. Because for me, in the past 2 years, governance has been on ground zero in Rivers. A lot of things could have been done. Rivers received one of the highest level of, what do you call it now? FAC. From FAC, Rivers State. Rivers State have money. But the problem has remained that we're having this, a godfather, a godbrother, a godson, and people are feeding from the crisis. There are some people who today still don't want that crisis to end because they are feeding from it. But in all this, I just feel that Governor Fubara is the loser, whether we like it or not.
Of course, of course.
Governor Fubara is the loser in all this because at the end of it all, you've got to realize that he has taken so much and he has to eat the sour part of the food.
Pie.
And that is the issue. But all is not lost. 2 years is still an opportunity for him to be able to prove to people of Rivers State that he has the capacity to be a leader and he has the capacity to be able to. There have even insinuations that, oh, he will not come back, he will not come back. If he has, in the next 2 years, he will be able to deliver the dividend of democracy for the Rivers people. They are the ones that will back him to come back or not.
All right, gentlemen,
and not just any individual.
What lessons are in this for both men? Minister Wike and Governor Fubara. Also for other states struggling with the issue of godfatherism and state internal crisis. We have Benue, we have Obasani and there's Malame Rufai. We have some states like that. What lessons are in for both men and there's other states like that? For
me, it is a very good one. Because, even to the godfathers now, because when you stand up one day and just pick up a stooge, somebody you think that will be very loyal to you, I say you make him a governor. You cannot determine the mind of a man.
Okay.
We remember what happened in Abia State. Oji Kalu and the guy that succeeded him. In Enugu State, it happened.
Is godfatherism really bad?
Godfatherism is not bad. That godfatherism, other part of it is when our people play godfatherism here, that is the problem. Where you give me, that is say in my place. If you give me the goat, release the rope for me now. But you cannot give me a goat. You cannot give me a goat. You still hold on to the. If I
release the rope to you, how do I make all that stuff now?
If I give you a goat,
why you go hold the rope?
I will not hold rope. The problem, let me tell you.
Yes.
Let me tell you. There's nothing wrong in godfatherism. Most of these people can't win elections on their own, so they need godfathers. They need godfathers.
So it's not easy to release the rope.
No, it's not even a matter of rope.
Okay.
It's not a matter of rope. That, in my view, is an extreme example.
Okay.
Bukola Saraki had to fight his father, his own biological father, because the father wanted a different person to contest. That's his own sister. Bukola opted for someone else. Bukola was the governor. He had inherited the structures of his father, so he was now in position to flex muscles. sometimes when you put people in power, it's not everybody that can be like Zulum in Borno, for example. They understand themselves. Even the vice president will say, this is my leader. Yet he's the one who brought him to power. I've seen people that you bring them to power, from that week, they've started fighting you. This same governor, it didn't last 4 months before he started fighting. And what did he do? People are selective in the way they analyze, and a lot of them, because they don't have sufficient knowledge of the issue. So they are bound to look at it this way. One of the first steps he took was to attempt to replace local government chairmen with caretaker chairmen, because he wanted to take over the structures. I don't know the people. Yes. In Rivers, each of those local government chairmen was the campaign chairman in his local government. That was the way Wike designed it, so that they will all work for the tickets. And when he was doing that, refusing to fund the SIEC, because funding SIEC would have meant that SIEC will have the money to organize an election, which will bring Wike's people to power. And he didn't want that. He preferred caretaker. So what did he do? He refused to fund SIEC. And they saw through his plans. They said, no, you can't do it. Wike said, no, you can't bring down the ladder that took you to the top. He was not even talking about himself. This governor, and I dare people to fact check me, even before the expiration of the tenure of the local government chairman, he had already stopped the salaries of those guys. So he made up his mind to fight. Now, if you want to fight in this way, you must be sure that you have all it takes. You didn't have, you know, there was a battle for control of the House of Assembly. Yes. He failed. On the moment he failed to take control of the House of Assembly, I knew that he would not be able to survive. So a more skillful politician will have found a way to lure those people to his side. In all of the cases where we've had this kind of thing, like Chimaroke Nnamani, it was during his first term that I started fighting Jim Owobodo. At a point, they even had the same number of people in the house. But ultimately, Chimaroke grabbed more people to his side. That was the end of the battle. It took complete control. In the case of Ochendo Global, Theodore Oji, who was brought into office by Oji Uzokalu and his mother, he waited until the end of the first term. So the moment he got that second, he was in prison when they conducted the election. Oji Uzokalu made sure that he won in absentia. This is our country. This is the history of our country. Once he got a second term, he turned against Oji Uzokalu and his mom. In fact, when Oji Uzokalu wanted to come back to the PDP, he was the person who made sure that he was not registered at his ward. So he frustrated him, and he was his chief of staff. So, but at the end of the day, the scenario that we had in Rivers didn't happen in Abia, because Theodore Oji completely took control. He had secured the second term. He was not afraid to take the big decision. What will you do to me? Most people, when they want to fight this fight, they don't fight it too early. Because when you show your hands too early, they now know that, okay, this is what you are planning. In your own case, you didn't have federal backing. At least Wike had federal backing. But if Wike had not controlled the House, I can tell you there's nothing President Tinubu would have been able to do for him. Because with the House, with Fubara, they can do whatever they like. They will have run Wike out of town. So if you want to fight, I'm not saying don't take on godfathers. After all, Bukola Saraki took on his own father, who was his godfather. It was his father that brought him to office. I'm not saying don't take on godfathers, but you must be sure that you have, yes, you must have accurate timing. If the timing is not right, you will end up like Fubara. Because he knew at this point that there was nowhere else to go. Where else does he go? All of the people say, no, he threw us under the bus. Which bus? The man is who feels it, knows it. This is his own battle at the end of the day. He's the face of the battle. He's the one who feels it. At a point, he was even confused. Some of the things that he was saying, you would think he was...
I mean, we're happy that peace has returned to River State, and we hope that the governor now faces the very important thing, which is
they were supposed to do a ring road, which would have been the best in Nigeria. On the day he announced that the project...
Okay. Manny, let me put you on hold. We have another commercial break. Okay. I'll be right back, everyone. Stay with us.
In the 21st century, Nigeria cannot be an independent nation without technology independence.
In a world racing towards the future, out of Africa is Zynox Technologies, a Nigerian tech group with major global certifications, proven capacity and a bold vision to domesticate world-class technologies.
From powering critical government infrastructure, homes and businesses, to delivering some of Africa's most integrated ICT projects, we are redefining what's possible, and we take responsibility. And with our efficient iPower renewable energy solutions, we are bringing sustainable power to homes and businesses.
Let's build a stronger tech nation, powered by Zynox. Zynox. Anticipate the future.
Welcome back, everyone. BKO and CKN are still here with me on the program. BKO, quickly, I want you to land on that Ring Road project.
Yes, the Ring Road project of Rivers State will have been the best in Nigeria. I remember when Governor Fubara announced that project, I said, God, this state is making progress. After all of those fantastic bridges that Wike came up with, we now have a Ring Road project crisscrossing numerous local governments. But what did we see? No progress. And all of you came up and said, okay, represent your budget. Even judicial pronouncements were not being obeyed. Because if Justice Omotosho's judgment had been obeyed from the beginning, we would not have been in this crisis.
All right, gentlemen. Hopefully, the governor does not get distracted any longer. All right, let's